So we were on the road in Tuscaloosa yesterday. The day before, though, we got to Knoxville, Tennessee. And since we did the live show from the Malmore Athletic Facility at Alabama, it just kind of felt inappropriate to talk about our travels from the day before at another school within their conference, a rival school within the conference. So we're going to do that right now, man. We got out to Tennessee, and it was an absolute blast. I mean, we got to sit there for the entirety of practice, got to watch team periods, got to watch 7-on-7, got to look around the building. Like, the folks over at Tennessee were phenomenal to us. Bill Martin, the best in the business. And a couple of takeaways from that practice. The first thing for me, whenever I get to watch a practice like that, I'm always curious about, the vibe and the tempo. And those are things that, you can't really quantify. But watching this practice, I think the best way to put it for me was it looked like a year 4 practice. Like, it looked like a team that knew their operation. They knew what they were supposed to do. They were running from drill to drill. It wasn't a whole lot of, hey, where am I supposed to be at? We got guys in the wrong drill. We got guys doing the wrong thing. Like, it was a crisp operation. And also, there was some pretty good competitive juice now. During those team periods, you saw guys battling, saw guys going back and forth. And it's one thing to do that on the first day of spring practice. Y'all, they're in double digits right now. They got the spring game coming up this Saturday. They got the light at the end of the tunnel. Because if you're a college football player going through those 15 practices, man, that's a grind. It's an absolute grind. So it's very easy for your energy and your effort to kind of take a little dip, and maybe you take a practice a little bit less intensely as the other ones before, not as much to get excited about. That was not the vibe I got from that practice, and Josh Heupel said as much when we got to talk to him. The tight end room that they have there, I'm pretty excited to watch here in the fall. I'll tell you about that, but first things first, make sure you subscribe right here to the On3 YouTube channel. If you're watching this as a one-off video, welcome. We're glad to have you here. Again, make sure you're subscribed. This is part of a live show that we're doing right now. So if you're watching in real time, you're a real one. So we appreciate you for that as well. As I said, the tight end room looks really solid. Holden Stays, the transfer from Notre Dame, he looks every bit of 6'4", 242 pounds. I'm excited to see how they utilize him in the pass game, because you put that dude on a linebacker, I mean, that's going to be just throw it up to the top shelf where the kids can't get it, and let him go make plays in the red zone. Miles Kitselman is a transfer tight end from Alabama who's now at Tennessee. They've been really impressed by him. They love what he can do blocking. They also think he's a great pass catcher as well. So from where I'm sitting, I see 2 tight ends for Tennessee that can play, and I'm excited to see how they utilize them when it comes to the formations they trot out there and how versatile they can be then in the run game. Now, going and saying in that vein of pass catchers, I said it during our show yesterday, but I want to make sure I echo the sentiment right now. I think Tennessee has 4 different wide receivers that could start most places in the country. Dante Thornton came in with a ton of fanfare last year, transferred from Oregon to Tennessee. And you just look at this dude. He's 6'5". I think he was somewhere in the range of 210, 215 last year. They have him listed at right now on the roster. And with the physical abilities he has and the way that he flashed at the end of the year for Oregon, it made sense why there was as much hype as there was. But seeing him in person, man, he looks a good bit thicker than I thought he was a season ago. He looks like he's bulked up quite a bit. And the key thing for him, I think, getting a second year in this offense with how quickly they go offensively, with all the different things that you can't really be thinking about during the play. You just kind of have to get the signal, and then it has to be muscle memory to know where to line up and what your assignment is. I think that's going to benefit him in a very big way. He made some plays during the day that I was really impressed by. Kind of nice long touchdown in 7-on-7 from Nico. Dude's going to be a playmaker. So the size that he brings is a mismatch in itself. Speaking of size, you don't have just 6'5" Dante Thornton. You also got 6'5" Chris Brazzell, who transferred in from Tulane, did great things over there, and now in Knoxville. They're really excited about him. He made a nice catch during their red zone period out there in the back of the end zone. Went up and climbed the ladder at its highest point, brought it in. He has got a tremendous catch radius. Like, there's not a lot of places you can put the football where Chris Brazzell won't be able to snag it. I'm also curious to see where they line him up. I think he could play outside for you. If he can get acclimated quickly to the system, I think he could also be a guy that you see line up in the slot. So we'll see where they utilize him. Squirrel White, obviously, his game speaks for itself. Brew McCoy, when he gets back healthy. So that's 4 guys that I think you feel really confident in. And I haven't even mentioned Mike Matthews or any other cats they have on that roster in that wide receiver room. The key thing for me here, man, the depth they have in that room is so much better than what they had a year ago. And Squirrel White was great last year. I mean, 67 catches, led the team in receiving. But the next highest reception number outside of Squirrel White was 35. It's a pretty solid drop-off from 67 catches to 35. That means a lot of the footballs were going to number 10. And when you're able to just key on one guy in this Tennessee offense, it makes it a lot harder for who's playing quarterback for you. So Joe Milton's going to catch a fair amount of the flack, and some of that is fair to, blame the quarterback. I mean, when you get all the praise, you get all the blame, but I think they're going to be able to put a lot more strain on defenses with how many guys they're going to be able to isolate in matchups and go make some plays for you. The early enrollees, specifically Mike Matthews and Boo Carter, I was really impressed by. Mike Matthews made a couple of nice plays during the 7-on-7 period, and yes, you're excited to see a talented freshman do talented things. He's going to be great when he gets, fully up to speed in Knoxville. But I'm always curious to see how teammates interact with some of those younger guys. And when Mike Matthews would go up and make a catch, or there was one where he went up and skied on the sideline for it and came down just out of bounds, and there were older guys like a Squirrel White coming over to him and encouraging him, giving him some coaching points. And I'll say this, older guys, even the great leaders, they don't waste their time with dudes who can't play. Okay, so the fact that you're getting Squirrel White talking to him in his ear, I think that should tell you a lot about the spring that he's had, or I'm believing he's had. Boo Carter, competitor. That's the best label I could put on him, man. Dude competes. He was consistently involved in a lot of those team periods around the football. He's breaking up passes. He might see some time in the return game, I guess. Which is how explosive he is. That would make sense to me. So a lot of encouragement there out of those young bucks, hitting the ground early, competing during spring practice. Very, very good sign. Now, Nico obviously was the main attraction, being the starting quarterback for them for the first time since arriving on campus, and all the fanfare that came with him out of high school and how highly touted he was, the number one player for us in the class of 2023, not the number one quarterback, number one overall player in 2023. He was very, very engaged throughout practice. And it's one thing to be engaged when you're actually in the drill, or you're the guy behind center. Nico Iamaleava, as I said yesterday, they worked a lot of quarterbacks in there, but even when he wasn't running with the ones, even when he was just sort of taking a beat and watching the guy behind him get some reps, and make no mistake now, I'm not implying that Nico isn't going to be your starting quarterback. I'm saying it's wise for a coaching staff to see different pairings of quarterbacks with different skill players around them. So that was the reason they did that, from my understanding. He was consistently taking mental reps. He's taken his shadow drop 15 yards behind the play, going through his progression, going with a shadow throw where he would throw the football. That matters, man. I'm telling you that. You don't do mental reps if you don't love football and want to be great. So that was encouraging for me to see. Also, we said this yesterday, but I'll say it again, his ability to throw the football on the run, man, that's going to be a game changer for this offense. Because all those receivers I just mentioned a second ago, if you cover them on their first route, once Nico avoids that rush, breaks contain, it's a new play, you might be able to cover them for 3 seconds, but once we get into that 4-second range, 5-second range, it's going to be, that's a losing battle. It's a losing battle, and the way that Nico's able to flip his hips and deliver the ball with accuracy and velocity, he can go back across his body, and I know they probably don't want him doing that a whole lot, but if he does do that, he's not losing a lot off that ball when it comes to the mustard. So overall, man, I think Tennessee's offense will be lethal. I think there's a lot of exciting pieces on this team. Defensively, I don't have a ton of notes for you just because there's only so much to take in my mind from spring ball, but I think the defense is going to be in a good position. They're really excited about what they have up front in that defensive line room. I think they got a lot better depth from previous years, so keep an eye on that, man. There's a lot to be excited about in Knoxville and a lot to watch this upcoming spring game, but in short, vibes are high at Tennessee, looking like a year 4 team, and the quarterback position rather, with Nico and some of the guys they got in there, Jake Merklinger, Gaston Moore, should be excited. All those guys look solid in my mind. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.